Well, good afternoon and welcome to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. I'm your weekly call-in town hall and radio show host. I'll be on the air for the next hour to answer your questions. I'm here each Friday, and I invite you to tune in and listen, or you can call in. I'd love to get your thoughts on issues that affect Virginians, and the number here is 804-454-1366, 804-454-1366. A special thanks to WNTW for the opportunity to provide this free public service to you each week. It's amazing. We've been doing this for over 2 years now. And it's an honor. It's a unique opportunity for you all. And we just appreciate as I'm out in the community, those of you who've come up to me and say, I listened to your show. I listened to your show. Well, I say it's not a show, but I say it's your town hall because it's your opportunity to call in and let me know what's on your mind. And as your state senator, I work for you. I work for the people. And one of the things that I did when I ran for office is I said I wanted to be the most approachable, accessible state senator ever. And so that's why I've continued to have these weekly shows and radio call-ins. So I invite you to call in. I serve you at the state level. I actually don't work in D.C., thankfully. I don't go anywhere near the swamp. I say I'm allergic to it. I have friends who work in the swamp, like Congressman Dave Bratt, who I think was on the Lee Brothers earlier today. And so I'm thankful for my friends who like to go to the swamp, or they don't really like it, but it's a duty and a calling. But I'm thankful I get to go to Richmond. And my office is at the state capitol in downtown Richmond. This is still my first term in office. I'm just finishing up my third session, so I've got one more session, and then I run for office again next year in 2019. We did my campaign kickoff last night, and so you'll see me a lot. I'm already in the district. I've never stopped running. Once I got in office, I've been really doing my best to work hard for the people, and so on. Anyway, so I represent the 11th senatorial district. It includes all of Amelia, all of Colonial Heights, and most of Chesterfield. I am a Christian, conservative, Republican, and in that order. I heard Vice President Mike Pence use that line. I liked it so much that I actually borrowed that line for him, but I like to give him credit. I ran on term-limiting career politicians and returning the government back to the people. And my goal is to be a representative who is transparent, accessible, and approachable. I'm not paid to do this show, in case you're curious. I do it because I think it's important to stay connected to the people that I serve. And even this past session, even while we were pulling 80-hour days, I still made it into the studio on Fridays to give you all updates of really what's going on in the General Assembly. And, we go back. At some point, they can give us 48 hours and we have to report back. We're not completely done with session. We still have state corporation commission judges to appoint. And just to give you an update on where I am on that, I will not vote for a politician and I will not vote for a lobbyist to serve in that position. The person I supported was Meade Browder. He is actually a state corporation commission attorney. And I think he's qualified for the job, but he's not been recommended. So, anyway, I will not be voting for politicians or lobbyists because I feel like the people would not like that. So anyway, some people love that. I think constituents agree with me on that. But my colleagues don't always agree with me, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree and be civil. So since being elected, I was elected in 2015. I serve on the Health and Education Committee, the Transportation Committee, Local Governments and Privileges and Elections. And I also co-founded the Transparency Caucus, which worked in a bipartisan, bicameral way, to ensure committee meetings are streamed and recorded to give constituents greater access to the actual work of the legislature. We are shedding light on what's going on in the General Assembly. Anybody can go to virginiageneralassembly.gov. And you can click on any committee meeting you want to watch, and you can actually watch us. Like we're in a fishbowl now. You can watch what we do. And I think it's great because we're held accountable. People can see what we're doing. These bills, in the Senate, we hear every bill. And so I'm encouraging my friends in the House to hear all of our bills because I think it's important. These bills are important to our constituents. People want to know what we're doing, and it's important that they can see what we're doing. And, a lot of you all are busy at work. You don't have time to go down to the General Assembly and lobby your legislator. So you can be at work and you can have us on a second screen, and you can actually on your laptop or your iPod, and you can watch us while you're at work, and you can follow bills that are important to you and give us a call. Let our office know where you are on issues, and many of you have done that, and we appreciate that. As you all know who have listened for a while, many of the topics that we address on the show are issues that constituents have brought to my attention. We've talked about everything from mega sites to public safety. We've talked about coal ash. We've talked about the General Assembly budget, many, many things. And from time to time, we get updates from congressional candidates. And we're going to have a congressional Republican-elect, Ryan McAdams, on the show. He is our 4th Congressional District nominee, and he's here in the studio today. And I'm going to get rid of this cough. I think I got a dry throat here. But you're going to get a chance to hear from him later in the show. What I would like to do is begin, many of you all know that I homeschooled our kids whenever they were much younger for 9 years. I sit on Senate Health and Education. I am also on the Higher Education Subcommittee, and education is very important to me. As a mom of 4 kids, my kids, as you all remember, are age 22 down to age 16. Education is very important to me, and I just have to give a shout out. My kids are right now all have straight A's, except for Tim, and he has 1 B+, which is close enough for me. So I'm saying they've all got straight A's, and I'm one proud mom, and yes, I'm having a bragging moment. My youngest son, Daniel, actually got a perfect score on his SOL, Earth Science SOL, and I'm so proud of Daniel because he, being the youngest, has really had to work harder because I've been not been at home as much as when I was with my older kids, and so I'm just a lot of grace, God's grace on my kids, while I've been serving at the General Assembly. And he got an award. He had an award ceremony, and I didn't get to go because we had votes that day. And that's so hard as a mom, whenever you want to be there for your kids and their award ceremonies. And I just want to thank my friends at the school who took video for me so I could watch it later. And reading is so important. It lays the foundation for our kids. And I am all for school choice. I think that that your zip code should not determine the level of education that you have, that we need to be able to provide a best education for all kids, no matter what their zip code is. We should be able to give them the best education ever. And, we have, I actually talked a little bit today with Mayor LeVar Stoney in Richmond. And, he and Senator Sturdivant has passed some legislation to try to help our kids in these Richmond city schools. And I appreciate another good friend of mine, Marcus Newsom, who retired actually from Chesterfield County Public Schools and has gone on a mission in Petersburg to try to help with the schools there. And so, reading is very important. Education is very important because it determines the success of our kids and whether they were able to make a living and to be able to work and to thrive in society. And so it's so important for kids to learn to reach out and learn to read. So in the studio today, I have 2 very special people here. I have Ralph Reynolds, and we'll tell you, he's the director of Eagle Youth Foundation. He's been splitting his time between Reynolds Development, which is his family's commercial real estate business, and a nonprofit work with his family's foundation. And he discovered his real passion working with children and families in the Blue Ridge Estates, which is a Section 8 housing complex. And after a decade of nonprofit work, Ralph has found an ideal fit on what is called Read to Them's board of directors, which Ralph joined in December of 2015. And also in the studio, I have Kathy Pligman, who is the program director. And I don't know if you've heard about Read to Them. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization promoting family literacy. And their mission is to create a culture of literacy in every home. And as a former homeschool mom, I really get behind that as any parent would do. And they do this by helping schools implement their one school, one book, and a one district, one book program. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to be going to a break here shortly, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about our kids and the importance of reading to our kids. We're going to be talking about this program called Read to Them, this 501c nonprofit organization and promoting family literacy. So you won't want to miss today. At the end, the last half of the show, I have my very good friend Ryan McAdams that's going to be on the show. So you won't want to miss today. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. All right, we're back with more Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, and I have Ralph Reynolds, director of the Eagle Youth Foundation, and also sits on the board of directors for Read to Them, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization promoting family literacy. And if I have any teachers out there, any educators out there, I just encourage you to tune in today because we want to bring this program to your classroom. We want to bring this program to your schools today. It's a nonprofit organization that encourages kids to read. And so, Ralph, welcome to the show, and Kathy as well. We're so thankful that you both took time out of your busy schedules to come and explain this program to us.
Thank you so much. This is an honor for me to be here. It really is.
So tell us, Ralph, start off by telling us a little bit about how you got involved with Read to Them.
Well, I actually was working with Eagle Youth Foundation at the time, and we were invited and went to talk to the Chesterfield, to some of the folks on the school board. And, excuse me, one of the persons there was actually running for school board. His name was John Urbach, and I want to...
He's a good friend of mine,
I want to send a shout out to John because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for John.
He's the chairman of the school board now.
You told me that,
yeah.
And congratulations, John. That's just awesome. And so anyhow, he not knowing, we had a nice meeting and we left, and I knew he was running. He ran and won, and so I sent him an email of congratulations, and maybe within a month or so, I received an email back saying, "Well, thank you, but that since I've won, I've gonna have to leave and leave some of the boards of some of the nonprofits that I'm on, and are you possibly interested in joining this one that I'm on?" And it's called Read to Them. I had never heard of Read to Them and didn't know anything about it at the time, but just figured I knew it was literacy, and that's what they were about. And you can, from just the name Read to Them, it just sounded like why not? And I didn't think twice, and so wrote him back and said I'd love to, and went through the meeting process and the vetting that they do, and so I was on the board.
So tell us a little bit about the program, Read to Them. Is it giving books to kids so they can read in class? Tell us exactly, like if I'm a parent and I'm a listener out there, and they're thinking, I have kids that are school age that I want to read. How can this program help my children?
I will say, and if I need to, I'm going to jump to Kathy, my go-to. Kathy is wonderful, but I'll take a crack at that. Now, we basically we serve not only, but we do mainly elementary school kids in elementary schools. Okay. Is where we do our one school, one book program.
Because kids are just learning to read, so that would make sense.
Yes, exactly.
Those are the critical years.
They really are, and we hear so much about the third grade slide out and different things that. But it seems to be a no-brainer to me to obviously to get them as young as you can, Get them as young as you can. And in fact, I'll say one story that it's one of those things that the day that I found out I was actually accepted to the board, I walked into my father's office and he was talking to his secretary, and they just happened to be talking about. He said that he basically attributes a lot of his success to the fact that when he was younger, he had a nanny that read to him every night and read these books that he couldn't possibly read, but they got into these stories and night after night, and he just got lost in the books and loved them, and then they would talk about them afterwards, and so he really, to this day, attributes a lot of the things that he's done to that. And so I actually questioned him a little bit, but it was amazing that the day that I was actually found out I was on the board, I walked in saying, "Well, it's funny you say that, because I just joined an organization that does exactly that." So that was kind of neat. So I'm not sure if I answered. I kind of got off there a little bit, but yeah, we mainly focus on elementary schools. Okay, and what we're aiming at is actually to go where we believe and where a lot of the studies believe or show us where the problem really is, and that is at home, and that's where most of the learning, especially the younger they are, that's where a lot and most of the learning is, and so that's where we want to really concentrate and get parent involvement. That is so important for us, and also partnering with the elementary school, but not putting too much on their plate, as they have so much on their plate as it is. So what we'll do is we will give a book in the One School, One Book program. We will give a book to make sure that every student in the school has a book, but also every worker, from the principal to the custodian to the bus driver to everybody involved, and to different partners we have. We partner with the Richmond Police, and so there's a police officer assigned to every school. We'll make sure he has a book and does his reading. And
does the school pick one book and the entire school reads that book?
Yes.
So it's like a giant book club.
A giant book club, exactly.
That involves all your community leaders, all your teachers, all the kids, the parents, and that school picks one book. Okay, so now so everybody's like, okay, so a school can do this, and they pick a book, and they get the entire school to read the book. And do they pace it at the same time?
We do. We send home a letter to the parents and a reading schedule to make sure that literally everyone's on the same page. And it's about a chapter a night, so it's only about 15 minutes that we're asking the parents to take time out of their schedule. And a lot of parents just crave that time with their children, but it's hard to find the time. So if we have it scheduled out for them, they all jump in bed together or get on the big sectional sofa and read that one chapter a night together. And then when the kids go to school in the morning, they hop on the bus, and the bus driver says, "Hey, did you read about what happened in the book last night?" Right. Or they get to the playground and their friends are reading about it. Or they go to the Dairy Queen and the folks there have read it. Or they go to their house of worship or their Y or on the soccer field. Everyone's read the same book at the same time, and everyone has something fun to talk about.
So a school-wide book club is what we're talking about here. Now, how often do you change the books?
Well, each book takes about 3 weeks to read, reading one chapter a night. So it's as often as a school would like to do it. We'd like to see schools read at least 2 books together during the school year. And when we have One Richmond, One Book launching in the fall, that's what it will be. Well, there'll be a book title that they'll choose in the fall, one in the spring, and then we'll have a big book giveaway when they go on summer vacation.
Now, do you have schools that are already doing this?
Yes.
And if so, which ones are doing it?
Oh, well, we're in over 1,400 communities across 48 states in the United States.
Wow.
So we have lots of folks that are already doing this. We have several schools in the city of Richmond, schools that are doing it just on their own already, but we're bringing the whole community of Richmond together for the 18-19 school year.
That's kind of fun.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And we're going to have big kickoff assemblies, celebrity readers, activities across the curriculum. We send a whole package of activities for the schools to do during that 3-week read. So there are activities across the curriculum, not just in language arts, but in math, science, art, music, PE. We have ways to get all the community members involved, to get celebrity readers to come in. We have ways to get the high schoolers involved. We've had the marching band do a halftime show based on our books. Just the drama club come down and present a play, or the chorus write a song. So we get the whole community involved.
So if anyone wants to find out more information, what website should they go to learn more about the Read to Them program?
First of all, you just Google Read to Them, or you go to readtothem.org.
Yeah.
So we
Simple as that.
are raising awareness of parents and communities reading to their kids, and schools are picking a book and they're reading it. They're all the bus, like you said, bus driver. But I think it's a great concept.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming today, both of you. We really appreciate you having you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks so much. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Ryan McAdams. Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is your weekly call-in town hall and radio show. And we're going to be on the air for the next 30 minutes. So I'd love to get your thoughts on issues. 804-454-1366, 804-451-1366. And we have a winner here in the studio today, Ryan McAdams, who is officially now the 4th Congressional District Republican nominee. How does it feel, Ryan?
It feels great. Thank you, Senator Chase, for having me on today.
Fantastic. Now, you won with 72% of the vote.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tremendous outpouring of support by the voters. And I just want to say thank you to the listeners that voted on Tuesday. I know in a lot of precincts, the numbers are that the turnout was low. But you know what? It was fantastic. And we were at ECOF right down the road here, and there was people coming through all day long. And I had a great time we were out there, I think, 11 or 12 hours at the polling.
We were.
And it was fantastic. And it was just a great day. The weather was beautiful. It was, and I'm just really encouraged. I'm really encouraged by the outpouring of support by the 4th District voters.
You know, I find it very interesting. Dave Bratt's opponent also, there was a Democratic primary, congressional primary for the 7th Congressional District. And she also got 72% of the vote. But I found it very interesting and maddening, if you will, that you both got 72% of the vote. But she ended up, the press just took off with it. And they were saying what a resounding victory, and just... I saw her on NBC 12. They covered at the national level. And I thought Ryan McAdams got the same percentage points in the 4th Congressional District, but nothing. Crickets.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating to me as a supporter of yours.
Well, I know that if we were to really think that our credibility was based upon the mainstream media, that we wouldn't sleep at night, But to me, it really comes down to the people and the voters, and they're the ones that spoke. I think a lot of people, aren't paying as much attention to the 4th. Obviously, I think that the mainstream media here, even in this area, leans left, and so they want to pay a lot of attention to the 7th because of Dave Bratt and wanting to see the interest there as far as Dave Bratt's opponent, and so they're not wanting to pay as much attention to Donald McEachin's opponent, who with a resounding win. But that's okay, because God likes underdogs, and I don't mind staying under the radar, and we're just going to continue to work hard and push. And as you know, I'm a worker and I'm a grassroots guy, and we're going to work hard. And I believe that I'm in this for a win. I'm committed to win in November and to beat Donald McEachin, because that's what the people want. People want change. People want representation. People want servant leadership back in the 4th District.
Now, a lot of people may or may not know this, but before coming to the Senate, I actually worked for Congressman Randy Forbes, who was
Right.
the 4th Congressional District congressman. And I've worked for 3 different congressmen, and I know what it takes to live in the swamp and all the challenges therein. And so it's not an easy job. Now I can tell you, I've spent a lot of time with Ryan and his family, my family as well, and we were actually putting up 4x8s in the pouring down rain. This guy knows how to work, and I actually tested him because it was pouring down. We were in his family, and we were putting up 4x8s, and it was pouring down rain, and I kind of was joking. I was testing him, and it was pouring down rain. There was thunder, there was lightning, everything else. And I said, Ryan, we have one more sign left. Or I think we had 2 signs left. And I said, do you want to put the sign up? And he goes, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, all right. So we went out there, and it was pouring down rain. So he's a hard worker. He's somebody that can.
And then you poured water in my head with your umbrella. You were under an umbrella, and I was out there in the pouring rain.
Yeah, you passed the test. So anyway, that's the important.
That is a funny story. Yeah, we worked hard. And also I want to thank all the volunteers as well, because we have a great team. We have a great campaign team, but there was a lot of volunteers that helped us at the polls, that helped us make calls, that did a lot of the little things. And, as I've seen, I've learned that over time, whether it's sports, whether it's ministry, whether it's politics, and running in a campaign like this, that it's a team effort. And I'm a team player. This isn't about me running for office. God's called me to do it, but it's all about the people. And I'm just so grateful for all the people that God has brought into my life, including you, Senator Chase, that has brought into my life to make me successful. But again, it's not about me. It's about we, the people. It's about bringing power back to the people, reducing the size of government, giving them the voice that they deserve, the constituency services that they deserve, and getting things done in Washington, doing the right thing.
What would you say are your top 3 issues that you're going to run on in the general election? What are the top 3?
Yeah, I would say the same things that I ran on in the primary. It's the things that are important to the people of the 4th Congressional District. I know we're about ready to go into a break, so I'll say them. Maybe we can get into detail more after the break, but I'll just tell you really quick. I think that the economy, obviously, the numbers just came out, going at a great clip of 4.8 GDP%, GDP, and that's fantastic. And I talk to business owners all over the district. I'm always asking business owners, how's it going for you? I just saw one today. I'll put a little shout out for Ducks Air Cleaning. And I asked Dave Hoopsick, I said, how's business going? He says, I was crazy busy today. Things are going great. And that's what I hear throughout the 4th District with small business owners. Things are going really well. So we want to keep that going. So number one, I think in people's minds is getting money back in their pocket and their business is growing.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Ryan McAdams. Thanks for tuning in to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is your weekly town hall and radio show, 804-454-1366, 804-454-1366. You can enjoy listening, or you can call in and ask Ryan McAdams a question about his issues or policy issues. Now, you said the first issue that you wanted to focus on was the economy. And
yes.
What do you think is important to make sure that the economy continues in the same direction under President Trump's leadership? Look at, like you were saying, the economic activity level. What do you think is contributing to that?
Well, obviously the tax cut is a big deal. And let me just say clearly that I completely support the president and his agenda. I think we need strong, courageous leaders up there that are going to support the president and not go against his agenda in the Republican Party. Clearly, we know the Democrats are coming against him strongly. There's a lot of things. Number one is the tax cut. Number two is getting manufacturing and jobs back in America. And I think the president, because of the optimism that's in the economy that's happening, there's a lot of jobs that are being created right now.
What are your thoughts on the tariffs?
The tariffs, that's a good question. I had that the other day at the polls. Someone asked me about that, which was a very good question. And Ralph Reynolds, who just left here, I was in a meeting with with Randy Reynolds at Reynolds Reynolds Development. And I asked him that question. What did he think about the tariffs? Because obviously the tariffs were against aluminum, which his company developed. So I asked him, he said, you know what? This is basically, I want to paraphrase what he said, but he said, I'm for it because I think in the long run, it's going to help America. It's going to help bring equal trade and fair trade back to, trade. And so I'm for that. And I think that the president's doing the right thing. It might hurt some companies, obviously, but in the long run, what we need is fair trade. And we haven't had a president that is holding the line to create fair trade for Americans and for American businesses. So I'm for that, definitely.
I agree. I love America first. I mean, if you look at all the trade deals that we've had, America always gets the short end of the stick.
That's right.
On every deal. And so I love that he's going through and renegotiating a number of deals. So it seems like people outside of the 4th District aren't paying so much attention to this race because they say this district is unattainable for a Republican. What do you say to that?
Well, I think that they're not looking at it close enough.
Okay, tell us why.
Well, in 2012, Mitt Romney, our campaign team looked at this district, and in 2012, Mitt Romney won this district as it currently is drawn in the 2012 presidential election. So that wasn't too long ago. And so by that statistic alone, it's a winnable district for Republicans. The other thing is Donald McEachin is very, very weak. He only won by 7% going into, when he won his first term in 2016. But I hear throughout the district discontent from Democrats as well, not just Republicans, about the type of service, particularly constituency services that he is offering. They feel like they're abandoned by their representative. So that is a big deal to people because he doesn't have a groundswell of support even from his own party.
And I tell you, constituent service is everything. And I'm going to give a special shout out to my good friend, Joan Fallon, who actually worked for Congressman Szyszewski and then eventually went on to work for Congressman Randy Forbes. And she was excellent. And in fact, his office won so many awards for constituent services. It's
People
so
are used to
important.
good service by their congressmen because of Randy and what he did through Joan Fallon and Randy Forbes' staff. They're used to good constituency services, and they are clearly not getting it. I had a Democratic farmer. He said, you know what? I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. We need representation in Congress, and they're not getting it. And so that, I think he's weak because of that. Secondly is we're going to run a great campaign. We're going to run a grassroots campaign. We're going to get out there. We're going to mobilize the Republican base, but we're also going to reach into areas that most Republicans don't reach. Bishop Leon Benjamin, he's a part of this campaign. He leads something called the Urban Development Coalition. So we are aggressively going into the urban areas and bringing conservative ideas and conservative values and saying, look, this is what you're getting from the Democrats. This is what you're getting from Donald McEachin. Donald McEachin said that the tax bill was disgusting, disappointing, and dismaying. And so what is disgusting about people getting better jobs, that the economy is roaring at 4.8% GDP when it was an anemic 1.8, I think it was, under Obama for 8 years. What is disgusting about more money being in the pockets of Americans? I mean, people are very encouraged right now. What is dismaying about people getting $1,000 bonuses? And those aren't crumbs, like Nancy Pelosi said. They want to take away the great benefits that are happening right now in the economy. They've clearly said that they want to raise taxes.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, whenever people say that, you just think,
what are they thinking? They clearly, it's all politics. You know what? If the Democrats actually had good policy and they were doing good things for the American people, I would say yay to that.
They're creating a system of dependency. If you look at their policies, they see the government as God.
That's right.
And there's a total dependency on the government. And so they think the bigger the government is, the better. What they don't, or maybe they realize this, maybe they don't pay taxes. And so they're okay with us paying those taxes for them and getting those services. But by and large, most people want to keep most of their as much paycheck as they can. I know my boys, my youngest son, Daniel, had to pay taxes on his part of the business. It was $400.
And I think there's more that's a good point, because I think there's more we can do for small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something else, again, I think that we can do as Republicans up in Congress. This tax bill was great. It brought the corporate tax rate down to a competitive level with the rest of the world. But I think there's more that we can do for small businesses. Deregulation, cutting fees. I was talking with a business owner today, and they said, you know what? Why is it that if I make more than $10,000 and I'm getting money through the bank, that they're going to hold that for 10 days?
That's maddening.
Why is the bank holding
I had that happen.
Yeah, I had it too. When I had it happened a couple times. I usually didn't have huge checks like that coming to me over $10,000 in my small business, but I had it a few times when I had big jobs, and they'll hold that for 10 days. Well, for a small business owner, holding thousands of dollars, if like for me, I for those bigger jobs, I put in weeks of work.
That's right.
And I'm waiting for that money to come, and for them to hold it 10 days could be a catastrophic thing.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times you're leveraging with credit and that type of thing. And so those are some of the things, the bank's making money on that. See, the bank is making, right, the deposits. So they're making interest for those 10 days.
I work for the banks. I know.
Yeah, you work for the Federal Reserve, didn't you?
I sure did.
So you understand they're making interest for those 10 days. It's not helping the average small business owner. It's helping the banks. So we need to do, that's just one small thing, but there's a lot of things like that where small businesses are really being hurt.
What's your second issue? You said
my second issue. Well, again, my issues are what the American people's issues are. Healthcare is a huge issue still, right? The costs are continuing to rise. The care is not there under Obamacare. I know that a lot of some of the teeth have been taken out of Obamacare, and President Trump, thank God, wants to continue to unravel it. But I would love to repeal it, clean repeal, and go back to a free market principled healthcare solution. Let me tell you one story. This is another kind of fun story. Fun. I don't know if it's fun, but it was fun for me because I talked to this constituent. She came up to me. She was very intense on election day on Tuesday, and she says, who are you? Like that type of thing. She's nice about it, but she was like, who are you? So I introduced myself. I'm Ryan McAdams. And she says, okay, this is my issue, healthcare. What are you going to do for healthcare? Really just, that was it for her.
She cut to the chase.
She cut to the chase with me, and she wanted to know what my solutions were for her. And she went into this story. Now, this is a horrible story, and there's many Americans that are dealing with this. She said that she's had some health issues. She, before Obamacare, she had an issue where she was in the hospital for a protracted period of time. I think she said 30 days or something, a long period to be in the hospital. And her health insurance, it only cost her about $1,200 for 30 days to be in the hospital. Then she says this, then I got Obamacare. And I had an issue, and I was only in the hospital for 16 hours. And it cost me $16,000 or something, $18,000 or $16,000. And she says, I just can't afford this. And it's just not right. It's like I don't have health care anymore. And that's how Americans feel. They feel like they don't even have health care because the premiums are so high. And if they use it, it's like not doing anything for many, many Americans because it's so costly.
It's a tax. I always say that it is a tax because there's a difference between health insurance and actual health care. And we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break with Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase and Ryan McAdams. All right, we're back for the final segment of Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. I have in the studio today Ryan McAdams. He is the Republican nominee for the 4th Congressional District, winning with a whopping 72% of the vote. And we are talking about the top issues that he is running on to defeat Donald McEachin. And the next issue we want to talk about was immigration. Tell us about your stance on immigration, because that was something that differentiated you between you and your opponent regarding Dreamers.
Yeah, that's true. I support the president in securing our borders, building the wall, enforcing our laws. And I think that our compassion needs to be directed towards Americans. And so, to me, it is only right that we do the right thing as representatives and to enforce our laws, secure our borders, build the wall. So just in a nutshell, that's what I'm for.
So what is your reaction to the news that Virginia Governor Ralph Northam vetoed a bill banning sanctuary cities, which passed both the state's legislative chambers?
Yeah, he went against his own promise on that, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, I thought that in the campaign that he had promised not to do that. So to me, that's a failed promise. I think he should have stuck to what he said he was going to do. Clearly, I mean, sanctuary cities is a disaster for the American people. Not only is it unsafe, but I believe it's taken away jobs from Americans. Not only that, but illegal immigration is a huge drain on taxpayers. It's a huge drain on our educational system because those kids are being, those illegal immigrant kids are going to our schools.
And they're also taking advantage of Medicaid.
And again, against Medicaid and some welfare benefits, not all, but some welfare benefits. So they say it's about $26,000 per illegal household that is costing the Virginia taxpayer. And as a whole, it's costing Virginians $2.2 billion this year for illegal immigrants.
No, I know a lot of people out there, especially on the left, will say, well, Republicans are not compassionate because we look at everything from a dollar perspective. But how would you look at it from a public safety issue as far as, we look about the case of Kate Steinle, where illegal aliens who have been repeat offenders find haven in these cities and they cause more violence and death. I mean, it's a public safety issue, too, where you're providing a safe harbor for illegal immigrants. And that presents a problem because we don't know who's living there. I mean, if you're not enforcing the laws of the land, I just feel like as a lawmaker, it's important to create laws that are consistent with, oh my gracious, I mean,
Well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, why are we giving people who are criminals, I mean, let's be honest about it.
They're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law and they're here illegally. Why are we giving them greater benefits than we are even giving to the American people?
And to our vets.
I mean, why are we giving them benefits to our schools, like our universities? In California, they're giving them benefits to go to universities and colleges that they're not even giving Americans.
That's right.
I mean, to me, I think for most Americans, it's enraging, really, because it's not just. We're the ones that are paying for these benefits. And we're not even getting them. They're giving more benefits. And for these sanctuary cities, why are illegals not being held to the rule of law? And Americans are, right?
That's right. That's right. So we have 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute left. So I just simply want to thank you for running for office. I know it has been a long, it's a lot of energy exerted when you're running for office. So we want to thank you for running. And also, anybody that runs for office, it's a challenge for your family, and so we appreciate your putting yourself out there. And I think he's a great candidate. I think we need more. We need pastor. We need God. And what is your website?
My website is ryanmcadamsforcongress.com. We're also on Facebook. I'm going to be taking just a couple days off with my family, which is much needed, but we are going to be coming back in and hitting the trail. And so reach out. We need you to be engaged. And so volunteer, please donate. You can click the red button on our website to donate. And thank you very much, all the listeners.